Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Grayboardgamer here with a Kickstarter preview playthrough of Sensor Ghosts, a game by Janice and Stu Turner of Wren Games. Wren Games is the same company that did a Kickstarter a little while ago for Assembly, and you can find that playthrough on my channel also. But without further delay, let's get this box open, get it set up, and show you how it plays. The object of Sensor Ghosts is to get our ship safely back to Earth. Along the way on our trip back to Earth, we have to collect a raw sample of a virus, and that virus we get by scooping it up as we fly by. But along our trip, if we take too long, we take damage or are pushed off course, the ship and us inside the ship will not survive. So in order for us to win, we have to guide our spaceship back to Earth and have at least one valid sample of the virus. And for this playthrough, I will do the escape pod variant, so we have to also get the escape pod back to Earth. The first thing we will do is set these two cards up, and they have the no flip symbol on them because they're the same on both sides either way. These two blue starting sector cards are the bottom left corner of the grid that we're going to lay out. Next, we would shuffle the remaining sector cards, making sure that we have all of the sides with the white around them. All of those should be face down. We should be looking at the side that has none of that white trim around it. I've given all the cards a shuffle. Now we'll place them out starting here in rows of 5, and there's going to be 7 rows. Let me give these a quick cut. I already shuffled them, but we'll start placing the cards out. Now our grid is completely laid out. Our 7 rows and 5 columns. Next we'll place our finishing sector card up in the upper right corner, and that card is our goal. That is where we need to get to. Before we go any further, we have to make sure that each row has at least one empty sector or boost card. The empty sectors are the green and these purple cards are the boosts. I can see that there's a green empty sector in all of the rows 2 through 7. There's not one down here, but there is a purple boost, so we're okay there. We don't have to do any swapping of cards as laid out in the rules. Next, we will place our ship token, and we will place the escape pod token here just off on the bottom left of the board. The game has these double-sided reference cards to remind you what the different sectors do, whether it's a meteorite, an obstructed sector, or a boost. And we'll go over those in the context of the gameplay and what the various cards do that we'll draw. You have 2 red shield tokens, and we'll place them off to the side. We have not charged our shields yet. And you will have a shield tracker card that comes with the game. You also get 3 white memory cubes. And these are for you to place anywhere you want to on here throughout the gameplay. And you can have them signify whatever you want. You want it to say that that is a dangerous sector, or if it's an open sector, or it's a obstructed sector or a meteorite or whatever. It's up to you how to use these. Once they're placed on a card, they stay. Once you take them off the card, they're out of the game. These are just 3 little tracking tokens for you to choose how you want to use them to gather information. Because even though we see the symbols here on these cards, when we flip them over, they may be different. It may not necessarily be a clear sector on the green ones. When we flip it over on the other side, we may have got bad information. And if you notice that later on, like if I flip this and it turns out to actually be a meteorite underneath, I could place that on there as a reminder to myself, hey, that is not a clear sector. Next, we have our 5 sample tokens, 3 of which are samples of the virus, and 2 are just useless chunks of rock. We'll give these a nice mix so we have no idea which one is which. And then we will place one of these samples in rows 3 through 7. So 1 on each row, wherever we want to put them. It wouldn't be smart to put it on what is most likely a red obstructed sector, but we can put them anywhere we want. I'm going to try and be smart about it, and I'm going to place them on the green, or supposedly green, safe open sectors. And now we have to remove 3 cards from the grid. Any 3 cards we want, we can remove as long as they're adjacent to at least one of these samples. With the exception of the red obstructed zones, we cannot remove those at the beginning of the game. So I'll choose to get rid of what may be potentially dangerous meteorites. Get rid of one there and there. Those were both adjacent to one of the samples. And I'll get rid of this one here. Now these empty spaces are also considered obstructed zones, so if we fly into those, that's the end of it for us also, game over. So what I'm thinking is I want to put all of those early on, that way if we make it to these upper sectors, we'll have an easier time navigating around, but we do have these red obstructed sectors to deal with also. We will also be playing with the optional disruption deck. So I'll give these a shuffle, and we'll place that here within easy reach. We will also choose a roll card. I'll just give these a quick mix, and we'll take whoever ends up on the bottom. And that is Jayani. You may execute any action as if it were a shield charge action. Wow, that is really useful. So you have one side with the words and one side with the iconography. That is really helpful, especially later in the game if we need to plow through a sector that's dangerous. And this is a one-time use action, just like in assembly. You have that one-time use card on your roll card. Next we have our navigation deck. And before we shuffle it and make our draw deck, since we're playing a solo game and we'll do the introductory level, we're going to remove 2 of these fly cards at random. They may all look the same, but they have different numbers on them from 1 to 3. So we'll give these a shuffle, give them another quick cut, and we'll just take the top 2 off, and these are out of the game, and we will not look at them. We will also remove one of the shield charge cards from the game. I've placed the remaining cards back in the navigation deck. We'll give it one more cut, and we'll draw our first 3 starting cards. And we have a fly peak, another fly peak, and that's what we have, 3 of them. 2 of our fly peak cards have the number 1 at the bottom, and 1 of them has the number 3. Since we're playing the game with both the variants, the escape pod and the disruption deck, the way the disruption deck works is anytime we resolve a boost, so anytime we land on and resolve one of these boost sectors, we'll draw a disruption card and resolve the results of it. With the escape pod, we're going to try to navigate it through and get it to Earth also. Those little numbers that you see at the bottom of the cards that I showed you are how many spaces the escape pod is going to move in the direction of the arrow. The escape pod can basically go anywhere safely except red obstructed zones or these empty zones here. They can fly to the edge of the board, so if they were going to move off the edge, they would just stop on that zone, which is different from the spaceship. If the spaceship is forced off the edge of the board, the game is over and we've lost. Same as the spaceship entering a red zone or an empty space. We're ready to begin, so when we go, we can play one of our cards and apply that type of action. We could play all 3 of our cards together to act as a wild card, or we could play 2 fly peak cards together to change the direction of our ship. We'll start out by just moving here, and we're going to play our fly peek card as a fly. We're not going to use it to peek at these face down sectors right now. So I'll play that, and the orientation of the arrow matters. That is the direction the ship will fly. So the ship is going to move 1, and since there is a 1 at the bottom of that card, the escape pod is going to move that direction also. We don't have to flip these 2 sectors over to see if they're safe, because the starting sectors are the same on both sides. We know they're safe. The game will play different with 2 players. You're playing cards face down, and then you reveal them, and then you have to work together depending on which cards you've played, and you have limited communication, kind of like you do in the assembly game. But with this solo playthrough, you just play the card since you have no one to communicate with. We will draw another card, and this time we have a shield boost that we can use to charge our shields, and it will cause the escape pod to move 1. And now we will rescan whatever row is above your ship. In this case, we're in row 1, so row 2 is right above us. It will shift 1 to the left. So we take the leftmost card to open up a space, shift everything else over 1. We'll maintain that open space, then bring that card that came from over here, it wraps around to there. And also with the rescan in the solo game, you can flip 2 cards over that are 2 rows away. First, I want to make sure this sector here is actually safe for me to go collect a sample. And yes, that is a green safe sector. And we'll keep checking. There. That is a good example where it's presumed to be safe. Then you flip it and find out that there's actually a dangerous meteorite there. And you can see that white, so we know we're looking at the correct side of the card now. Those will stay up, and we will know that from now on, safe and dangerous. The only way to travel into the sectors with the meteorites is if you have both of your shields charged up. Then when you enter that sector, you lose both of your shields, but your ship is not destroyed. If you enter a meteorite sector with only 1 or no shields, your ship is destroyed and the game is over. That does not apply for the escape pod. We're ready to begin our next turn. If we were to play another fly peek card, we would have to match the direction of the last fly peek card played on the discard pile, which would send us 1 more in that direction to the right, which at this time is not too bad an idea. So we will go ahead and play it, and we will play the one that has the 1 on the bottom, because if we played the 3, the escape pod would keep going and enter that obstructed zone, and the game would be over. So we'll move in that direction again. 1 with the ship, 1 with the escape pod. Draw our next card, and we have another fly peek with a 3 at the bottom. So now we got to be really careful when we use those, because that escape pod is going to go flying off. We'll rescan, shift everything over. We put ourselves in a pretty tough situation here because we have 2 open sectors right here. We can flip 2 cards that are 2 away. That is a meteorite or a meteoroid. That is also. So we only have the 1 safe sector there. Our next turn, we will bolster our shields. We can take one of our shield tokens and put it on our shield tracker. Now we need both shields to safely enter one of these meteoroid zones. We did play the shield and it has a 1 at the bottom. We do not want to go in these 2 directions because that would kill the escape pod. If it's a non-fly peek card, if it's a shields charge like that or one of the deep scan cards, we can choose the direction of the escape pod. So we're going to have it turn around and go back to that sector. That way it doesn't crash right away. We will draw our next card, and it is a fly peek with a 1 at the bottom. We re-scan, so everything will shift in this row closest to us. Everything is already revealed there, so we won't flip anything over. Now, since there is no arrow on the discard pile, the next one we can play, we can choose the direction, which is not a good situation right now, because if we try to go up, this boost would cause us to enter an empty zone and kill our ship. So we want to wait and have these two shift over. That way we have a clear shot at least at making it safely. So I will play my fly peak card and have it go in that direction, which will cause my ship to come right back, which may seem silly, but the escape pod will not go any further and will not go off the edge of the board, so it is safe. We can draw our next card, and we have another fly peak. We rescan by shifting. Now what we could do is use Jayani's ability. It says you can execute any action as if it were a shield's charge action. And that's what I will do. We will use one of these fly peak 3 as if it was a shield's charge action. Take our second. Now we have both shields full. I'll flip that as a reminder that I used it. Draw our next card. It's another fly. So we have a fly peak with a 1, a 2, and a 3. We're going to shift everything over by 1. And now I think we'll take our chances and head in that direction. The only thing that would end the game for us is if we flip this boost and it actually has a red obstructed sector on the back. That would be the end of the game for us. I will choose to play my card with the 3 on it in that direction. The ship will move 1, but let's see what we have here. And it is a boost. And the way a boost works for our ship is it will send it into the next sector in the same direction, boost you forward. I entered a sector with the meteorite, which means both of my shields are removed, but I am still alive. And the escape pod will move 3, so it'll safely move in that direction. The cards that the escape pod land on are not revealed. We did execute a boost, so we'll have a disruption of position error. Rotate the row that you are on left 1 sector, then you may move 1 sector in any direction. I don't know if my ship stays on when I do that. I believe I do. So this would rotate that way. Everything else would shift over. Then I may move 1 sector in any direction. Well, I could move here to this boost, but if it's not a boost and I don't have shields, then that's the end of it for me. So I will stay where I'm at. I don't think it'd be a good idea to move. We will rescan. This row above us will shift. And I can flip 2 that are 2 away. So that would be a continued boost. So if I went up, I would boost through both of those, which would mean we would have to do 2 disruptions because we resolved 2 boosts. And let's check this sector here. That one is also a clear sector. I forgot to draw my next card. It's a fly peak 3. The way peak works is if I peek in a direction, I can take a look at the 3 cards in the direction I'm facing. That would be the card directly in front of me and the ones off to either side. And not knowing what's up here yet, I think I will do that. I will peek, and since the arrow is already pointing up, I will use my fly peak 3, which will allow me to look at that one, which is a clear sector underneath. And that one is a meteorite, which would damage me. So I will mark that as dangerous with one of my memory cubes. That was a 3 for my escape pod, so I'll move it 3. And if we can move to the right somehow 1 time, we're all good, and the escape pod will make it out of here. Draw our next card. It's a fly peak 2. These will shift because it is in the row above me. And we can flip to, let's see if this is, no, that is an obstructed sector. And that is still a meteoroid. And again, if I didn't mention it, with the peek action, you can look, but then you have to flip them back over. They don't stay revealed like they do here during the rescan. I don't want to risk flying into there with no knowledge as to what's there. So let's take a look at it so we know for future use. We will peek. We know that one's already dangerous. And look at that. That is a meteorite or meteoroid under there. And that would have ended the game if I tried to fly in there. Draw my next card. Good, we can get a shield charge. These will all shift, unfortunately. I can't move through that empty space. These have all been revealed. There's only one left, and that is a meteoroid. We'll let things shift again. I'll play my shield. The shield is a 1, which I can choose the direction for the escape pod, which means the escape pod has successfully made it. First part of our mission is taken care of. We still need to collect a sample of the virus and make it out on our own. We have a fly peak card. The number at the bottom no longer matters because the escape pod has made it. These will all shift. I don't want to go fly blindly, so I will use all 3 of my cards as a wild and turn it into a shield charge. That way I have both shields available. That does go through my deck quicker. Got a fly, and we got our first deep scan, which might come in really useful now. The way the deep scan card works is when I play it, I can flip any card over that I want, or I can cause any row to shift, just like in the rescan. Speaking of rescan, these will shift over. And if I remember right, that boost is safe, but I don't know if that green sector is safe. Well, let's give it a shot. We will fly into this sector. And yes, I was right. I did remember correctly. That is a safe sector. It really was not a boost, so we will not activate a boost and cause another one of these to come out. We're getting there. We're in the 4th row. We have to draw a card. It's another deep scan. Very nice. These are going to shift over. We can flip 2. So let's see if this is actually safe. It is not. Let's see if this is actually... Yes, that is obstructed. I will play a deep scan and take a look up here. The one right next to it would actually be a boost. So we can't go at it from this direction because it would boost us right off the board and lose. So if we're going to go in that direction, that would work for us. Draw a replacement. It's another fly peak. Everything will shift in the row right above us. Unfortunately, it's going to give us an obstructed zone right in front of us, but it allows us to flip 2 more. That's a meteoroid. So is that. This whole row looks like it's trouble unless this one turns out to be okay. We'll use our deep scan again, and this time I'm going to use it to make this row shift 1. That way the one unknown card is right there. I'll draw another card, and I have to be careful because if I run out of cards, it's a fly peak. If I run out of cards in my draw deck and can't draw, I lose. These will shift. There's only 1 to reveal that's 2 away, and it is a boost, and that is bad news. I have to fly or use all 3 as a wild. Don't know if I have enough left to keep burning up cards, but I have to do something, so I will fly 1, which will cause me to lose my shields. Draw another. It's another deep scan. Everything in the row above me will shift, and we'll check these out. That's clear. That's also clear. I still have to collect a sample too. but I don't have the shields to fly through these areas yet. Oh boy. What can I do here? I'll use my deep scan to cause this top row to shift. Draw a card. It's another deep scan. Shift everything in the row above me. Reveal these two. Meteoroid. Meteoroid. Alright. Well, we have to figure out a way to do this. The only thing I can do at this point is use my 3 to bolster my shield. That means I have to draw 3 new ones. There we go, there's another shield. 2 more shields. And a fly. This will shift. Those are all turned over, so no 2 cards need to be flipped. Definitely add my shield. Draw a card. It's a deep scan. These will shift, which will bring something into place there. So I will fly here, which will make me lose my 2 shields, and gain, good, it is the virus sample. That's what I need to win. So I've gained a virus sample. I just need to make it out. And it's another fly card. These will shift, and I think I'm going to come close to doing this. So I will play my shield, charge it up 1. That will cause these to shift. Oh, hold on. Let me draw my card. There's another fly. These will shift, which will put nice open space in front of me. Then I will fly into this clear space. And that is a useless lump of rock, but I already have a virus sample. Draw the final card, which is a fly. There is nothing to shift above me. In order to fly in a different direction than straight up, I would need to play 2 fly cards, and I have 2 fly cards, which allows me to change direction. And with no cards left in my draw pile, I have managed to escape with the virus sample and get the escape pod out. Thank you for watching this playthrough and Kickstarter preview of a solo game of Sensor Ghosts with the escape pod and disruption variant deck. I managed to escape, but again, this was on introductory level. If I was playing on standard and I would have taken 3 cards, 3 fly cards out instead of just 2, I wouldn't have had that last one available to me to draw, and I would have lost the game right at the end, right before I made it out. It may have been easy level, but I'll take a victory. Make sure you head over and check out the Kickstarter page for Sensor Ghosts. And remember, this is the same company that brought you Assembly. You can watch that playthrough on my channel. And that is also a fun, quick puzzle game. And if you're into playmats for Assembly, I don't know if it's going to be available on this Kickstarter, but grab that playmat because that thing is beautiful. If you like these type of puzzle games, make sure to check out the Kickstarter. Support your small publishers and creators. Keep in mind the components and rules that you've seen on here are part of a prototype, so some of the images or some of the components or rules may even change by the time it gets to the production phase. Thank you for watching this Kickstarter preview of Sensor Ghosts by Wren Games, and I'll see you in my next video.